argument by reminding our viewers that subliminally you're trying to undercut a Kevin Durant who most people think is now the best player on the planet, as Tony Kukoc said the other day. So now you're trying to say, oh, yeah, Steph ranks higher than KD all time. No, he doesn't. I'm sorry. And I have been the biggest Steph fan. You can look it up. I campaigned on ESPN, on the former show I was on, before the Steph-Blake Griffin draft. I said, I'm taking Steph Curry, number one, that little baby-faced assassin out of Davidson. And everybody at ESPN laughed at me, and I got ridiculed for weeks. And Blake Griffin went number one overall, and Stephen Curry fell all the way to 7th, right into the laps out of heaven, Golden State. Way to go. And yet, I must say that when it comes to what I value the most, postseason performance, I'll take Kevin Durant any day or playoff night over Steph Curry, because too often Steph Curry in the postseason has come up even smaller than he is, while Kevin has rose and shown out again and again and again in the biggest postseason moments. See back-to-back finals MVPs, see those 2 legendary Game 3s that he played right in LeBron's grill, in LeBron's house, to basically end both of those series. He was the guy they called. He was the guy they called. Draymond, as you always tell me, crying in the parking lot, please come and save us. Will you please come and save us? And last year, it looked like Kevin Durant might even be on the way to stealing a 3rd straight Finals MVP as he brought Golden State back last year until his Achilles went. So I'm sorry. When I look back on Steph's career, the worst 3 games of his career were your best 3 games of your career, because it was games 5, 6, and 7 that year that LeBron and company came back, LeBron and Kyrie came back from 3-1 down. Draymond obviously was suspended for game 5 back at Oakland, but Steph Curry had 3 games to say, I am the man, I'm that guy, I will not let this happen. 2 of those 3 were in his house at Oracle in Oakland. And guess what he did in those 3 games combined? He shot 37% from the field. That's not very good. He shot 36% from 3. He's a 45% career three-point shooter. And he was a -20 overall in those 3 games. But more important, in the 4th quarter of those 3 games, Steph Curry shot 30% from the field and 25% from 3, and shot 0 free throws in all 3 fourth quarters of those games, and was a -12. And if I can go all the way to the 4th quarter of Game 7 in his house, close game. Overall in that game, Steph shot 6 for 19, but in the 4th quarter, he went 1 for 6 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, scored 3 points with 0 assists, and had that huge turnover late in the game where he just threw it behind his back into the 5th row. Just a careless, bad, game-turning turnover. So, Shannon, 3 straight games where you could say, yeah, I'm the man. I'm better than Kevin Durant or anybody else. And no, he went smaller, smaller, and smaller. I'm sorry, I can't see it. And then let me finish. The last game we saw Steph play in the finals last year, do you remember that closeout game at home? It went down to the 4th quarter of that game, a seesaw battle. And in the 4th quarter of that game against Kawhi's Toronto Raptors, Steph in the 4th quarter was 1 for 6, 0 for 4 from 3, and missed the 3 with 8 seconds left that would have won the game. Shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. Kevin rises, Steph falls. I'm sorry, Steph.
Good morning. Okay. I miss all you guys, too.
We're so glad to have you with us. But I got to ask, ED, you've been a little critical of the new logo, of the uniforms. Tell us why.
Well, first of all, they called and asked our opinion. They called and, wanted to get our opinion on what we thought of the logo first. And we looked at that. And they said, be honest. And I just told them what I thought of the logo. I mean, I didn't think the logo was indicative of the Los Angeles Rams. And then a couple of days ago, they wanted us to look at the uniforms. And the same thing. And look, the uniforms are what the uniforms are. But let's go back. Let's go back to the history of the Rams. The Rams were the first team to have a logo, the horn on their helmet. And the Rams came to LA in 1946. They were the first team in Los Angeles before the Dodgers and the Lakers. And I think that horn is just so iconic with the football team. I mean, our uniforms, you think about Deacon Jones, you think about the Fearsome Foursome, you think about Jack Youngblood, Jackie Slater, all the great players we had. And it's almost you're taking away the history, of the Los Angeles Rams. And look, I understand that if they want to change the colors, I like the colors. I do like the colors. But I think the main thing, I just asked them, why would you touch the horn? I mean, why would you touch the horn? And then you asked us after the fact, and I got to get Marshall Falk was on the call, and Marshall said, he's going to ask the question, he said, like anything, any business, if someone wants to take credit, who do we look to, who do we blame for this? And there was a guy on the call, he said, well, I guess you blame me, in a sense. He said, so who did you talk? You talked to former players, current players, about the logo and the uniforms? You talked to anybody? He said, no, well, we talked to people in the office. We talked to women, which is fine, in the office, but we didn't talk to any players. I'm like, to me, that didn't make sense. Why ask us after the fact? I mean, look, I love my football team. And Skip, I want to thank you for giving me the name, the ambassador, because I love it. I stick up for that name. I take it from my fans, and I try to do, the fans want to hear. I mean, look, our fans are passionate about their football team, their logo. I would ask you, Skip, this is for you. What if the Cowboys took the star off the Dallas Cowboy helmet? And so please put Cowboys on there.
No good. So, Eric, I did give you that nickname because you do live and die for your Rams. So I must admit, when I read your remarks from your radio interview yesterday, I was shocked that you publicly condemned these uniforms. But I did not know that they had sought your approval. Well, but they'd already decided that it's all out of order, that you didn't really get any input. They'd already decided this is the way it's going to be. So I was shocked at how critical you were because you still work with and for the team, and yet you weren't really consulted before they released the new uniform. So now I have sympathy for you, and I'm on your side. At first, I was shocked that you were hypercritical of this, but they didn't really ask your opinion until it was too late, right?
Exactly. I asked them when they showed them to us. I said, okay, can they change them? If we don't like them, they said, no, we're not changing them. I'm like, well, why ask us? This is the purpose to ask it. This, and if they would have asked me, this is what I would have said. Let's make this fun. Let's do this for LA. Let's bring in some of the great artists that we have in Los Angeles. And let's have a contest. Let's take the top 50. And let's go down to the top 30, the top 20, the top 10, the top 5, and the top 2 and top 1. Let's say take those artists and say, we're going to let you pick our logo. We're going to work with you to pick our logo, and we're going to give you, say, $50,000 in season tickets for life. That would have been over so great in LA with our fans. I mean, because that way the fans were in it. I mean, and you talk to the fans, they said their thing is, we like the colors, but why mess with the horn? I mean, it doesn't look like a. And I told the guy on the phone, I said, this doesn't look like a horn anymore. I mean, and it's not my time. My time is the past, and all the players that wore that horn, it passed. It's Aaron Donald's time, it's Jalen Ramsey's time, it's Robert Woods' times. It's their time. But I still think that horn was iconic. It's an iconic piece of the Los Angeles Rams football team, and now we've lost that.
Edie, I'm not gonna lie. I do like the colors, and so I need you to get me an Aaron Donald jersey autograph. I appreciate that. So the problem that you have is that they tinker with the horn because it looked like they broke the horn. It's not a single horn. It's like 2 half horns that's not connected. So if they would have just left the horn intact, bring new colors, brighter colors, you would have been okay with that. You just have a problem with the horn being a half horn, not a complete horn.
100%, Shannon. You said it. That's my problem. And I think that's the problem with all the fans. The colors I like.